So yeah, that's Silent Hill stream, where they announced a boatload of things for a previously dead series happened. I guess we'll talk about it a little bit. So, I'll fully admit I saw it blind with a group of friends, and I had about 2 hours of sleep that night, and they cold opened with what I previously called my worst case scenario in the Silent Hill 2 stream that I did last year, so I'll be the first to admit I didn't really give it a fair shake. I wasn't in the best space to do anything but madly talk shit about the presentation. However, watching it with fresh eyes the day after, as I was writing down this little outline I'm trying to kind of organize my thoughts from, better than I ever would have expected, just being blunt. I'm still really not on board with the big headliner that they opened with, which we'll get to momentarily, but I'm not going to say I'm hopeful for the future of the series. I'm not particularly interested in any of these on individual levels save one, but I will say it is a far better showing than I ever would have expected, and for people with a more diverse palette, for some more modern offerings, then, there might be some more things for you here. I was kind of pleasantly surprised looking back on this. But, no more bullshitting, let's get to the actual meat of the conversation. So, first thing they announce, the long-rumored Silent Hill 2 remake. Oh boy, where do we start with this one? So, I can't remember the exact words I used during the Silent Hill in-depth stream, Silent Hill 2 in-depth stream, excuse me, but when it was announced during the production of that, hot off the presses, that Bloober Team was in a partnership with Konami, I think every single person knew, oh, they're making the next Silent Hill. There's no reason you hire these guys. For anyone not in the know, Bloober Team is the studio behind Layers of Fear, Observer, the Blair Witch video game, the most recent one, there's plenty, but the first person walking someone, and The Medium. The Medium in particular being the reason myself and many, many others fucking dreaded the idea of Bloober touching Silent Hill. Maybe one day I'll cover The Medium, but it's one of those dead horse games. You can probably find out the exact reasons why from many, many in-depth reviews out there. I digress. Bloober Team was always one of the worst possible choices to make a new Silent Hill. And they're touching what I would consider to be the best one. Oh no. I've already hated the idea of Silent Hill 2 getting remade in the first place, so I'm coming from a place of bias, as well as the fact that I've always hated Bloober Team. Publicly, openly, I have never enjoyed anything they've made. Even the quote-unquote good one, Observer, it's more Blade Runner nostalgia than anything else on its part. I'm gonna be blunt about that. But the real big issue is, as I said with their handling of The Medium, which if you know, you know, the real reason I don't think Bloober is going to be able to execute this is twofold. The big one is, I'm not sure if Bloober Team is fit to handle the subject matter of Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2, this is not a spoiler, because I know if you somehow stumbled on this video and you have not played Silent Hill 2, you're just interested in the remake, no spoilers here, but it touches on extremely heavy subject matter of childhood abuse, failing marriages, extended relationships with people in almost terminal care. It's a very dire, dour game, and I have zero faith in Bloober's ability to pull this off. Even if they're just doing a one-to-one recreation, which you know for a fact they're not. Let's say that's what they're doing. They're doing a one-to-one remake. You're just going to get a very hollow, Vince Vaughn Psycho-esque redo of something where people who are making it don't understand what it is they're just copying verbatim. Worst case scenario, Bloober Team tries to expand on this, and that will be a disaster waiting to happen. The other thing, too, is after the medium, I'm not entirely confident on Bloober's ability to make a gameplay-heavy video game. Because Silent Hill 2 is not the most video game out there, if you catch my drift here. But it did do some things that I thought were quite clever just from a game design standpoint. It's very well paced, it has excellent level design, I would argue, for a survival horror game. And while the combat's not great, if you play on original hardware, the pressure sensitivity of the melee combat, as well as the fact that it's more of a deterrent than anything else, it kind of worked. As a video game, Silent Hill 2 mostly works. I think it is the weakest of the trilogy, but that's a different conversation. Now, granted, the Silent Hill 2 remake also does follow another trend that I didn't really like, which is, if you watched my, essentially, just blank podcast on the 3 Western Silent Hill games, Origins, Homecoming, and Downpour, you'll know that one of my biggest issues with Silent Hill after 4, and as much as I do enjoy it personally, I will include Shattered Memories in this complaint. One of the biggest issues I had with the Western games was their insistence on trying desperately to be the next Silent Hill 2. They want to be Silent Hill 2. They just want to be it again. And it's almost fucking poetic that the first major Silent Hill game announced after Downpour is just Silent Hill 2 again from another Western studio. But again, just looking at the specifics from the trailer, I don't know, visually it resembles Alan Wake more than Silent Hill 2, but that's just to be expected with modern technology. It's all very wet. It's very Pacific Northwest, despite this being like Maine, or whatever. It's like Stephen King inspired, so it's Stephen King land, Derry, Maine. But I don't know. I was not a fan of the voice work in the trailer. It's one of those situations where I guess technically it is better voice acting, but it really misses the tone and intonation that made the original interesting. James in particular, they're making the exact same mistake they made with the HD collection, where they have Troy Baker, who has a much deeper voice in most of his performances, trying to do James Sunderland. One of the things that made James such a unique protagonist was that he was not like macho, deep-voiced tough guy. Like, he was very high-pitched, neurotic, stumbling over himself, apologizing frequently. He was atypical for a protagonist of a video game in the early 2000s. Extremely. Even compared to Harry Mason just from the first game, he was very, very off. And it was one of the most unique things about Silent Hill 2 initially. And I feel like trying to go on that Troy Baker deep voice style again is definitely a mistake. And I know this is like the pettiest thing to complain about because we've barely seen anything for this was essentially just like a teaser trailer. And if I could be so blunt, the presentation in general was, here's the shit, we have nothing to show because it's all too early in production, please stop asking us. If I could be really cynical, that's what it really felt like, but especially in Silent Hill 2's case, we just haven't seen enough outside of this concept trailer to make a real judgment on it. And I'm mostly just basing it off of my history with Bloober and personal biases I have against the idea of remaking Silent Hill 2, period. But just with the voice acting thing in particular, it already is kind of showing to me Bloober is not getting the point immediately. James's voice is very deliberate for his character. It's very important for his character. You better do something about that cough line in one of the endings, no spoilers if you don't have context, that delivery from the original game isn't going to mean the same thing if his voice is very similar to that throughout the entire experience. But I digress. It also has Masahiro Ito and Akira Yamaoka allegedly involved from the presentation. I don't know how truthful that is. I don't know if that's essentially just the John Carpenter treatment, where he's involved in the new Halloween movies because they send him a paycheck in the mail and he gives them a big thumbs up. But who knows? Honestly, if they're smart, they just reuse the original soundtrack. It's excellent. It holds up to this day. It is one of the best video game soundtracks, especially just for accompanying works in the actual game itself. As a complimentary soundtrack, it's absolutely phenomenal. So they could just reuse it, and honestly, it would still just be fine today. But no, they're gonna remix it and redo it, because of course they will. I've been going on about essentially like a 1.5 minute teaser, and we have next to no gameplay. We have James walking forward, if you can even call that gameplay. That could have just been pre-rendered cutscene for all we know. But I am not opposed to the possibility that this turns out fine. Because as much shit as I'm talking about Bloober Team, they kind of have a Quantic Dream thing going on, I feel. Where, the David Cage studio, for anyone not to know, where Quantic Dream is tied to terrible storytelling, terrible presentation of subject matters, weird fetish crap, but that's more of like a Cage thing specifically. However, they are a technically competent studio, much more in Quantic Dream's case. They are phenomenal at what they do. Whereas Bloober Team, I do feel they are a technically very sound, competent studio, able to turn games like this around that look and run fairly well. I'll get to the running in a minute here, though. They're able to turn those around relatively quickly. So it's clear that there is talent at this studio. And I'm thinking, if this is the big one, this is their real, true, mainstream breakout game, I'm crossing my fingers that they're really gonna dial their blooberisms back. And really try to just, like, cross their T's, dot their I's, make this actually work out. It's, again, possible this could be fine. It's too early to say, and just looking at it from a neutral perspective, there is a chance this could work out. All I'm gonna say is, good luck. And also on those technical notes, they did kind of have the PC specs, and it looks fucked up. Good luck playing this thing, folks. Goddamn. Anyway, that's the Silent Hill 2 remake. I'm not looking forward to it. I don't personally see myself playing it unless I get it for free, and I have the ability to somehow run it just based on those PC specs alone, because goddamn. But maybe it will not be terrible. I don't know. Just speaking personally, no investment. Moving right along, Silent Hill Townfall. This one is strange. I really don't know what to make of it. So, for the record, I have not played the studio's really big famous game before this, Stories Untold. I haven't played it, and while I hear it's quite good, it's just a very strange, like, pseudo first-person adventure, pseudo text adventure, pseudo visual novel game? Kinda? It's very strange, but in a weird way, this is the one that has the most potential to probably be good, because if the studio in question, if their past games, Stories Untold, and I cannot remember the name of their second, those are allegedly pretty decent, so this developer has more of a pedigree working on this kind of material. So this is the only one that I feel like has real potential to kind of just come out the gate and be, yeah, pretty good. Also, I do respect the fact that it's taking the Silent Hill concept and going with a direction that we have not seen since the fucking Play novel that was exclusive to Japan. It's like this weird... It could end up being like a weird spiritual successor to it. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm not interested in this one myself, but just based on their past track record, this is the one that has the most potential to be decent. So here's a weird one. Return to Silent Hill. It is a third Silent Hill live-action movie, directed by Christoph Gans, coming back from the first one, to direct an adaptation of Silent Hill 2. You know, shooting is allegedly beginning early next year, so there's a good chance this could come out right alongside the Silent Hill 2 remake, which could make the Silent Hill 2 remake, Silent Hill 2 the movie, the game, which is Like fucking pottery. It rhymes. Especially based on the Homecoming track record. Anyway. There was literally nothing. It was just Christoph Gans and his producer just talking into a camera. There's a funny line where they say, Christoph is a real gamer. So I guess he's going to be rising up sometime during production. But I don't know. The first movie was just kind of eh. I know everyone says, oh, it's the best video game movie. It's the best. Oh, my goodness. I've always thought it was kind of mediocre, if I'm being blunt. So, again, biased, but this could be fine. But I think one of the things that gave the Silent Hill movie, the first one, kind of the benefit of the doubt, is that it's doing more of a traditional, like, witchcraft cult story centered around Silent Hill 1. And while I don't like their adaptation of it personally, it's much easier material to adapt because it's more hokey, it's more pulpy stuff, you know? Silent Hill 2 is a little more dire and grim with its subject matter, and just based on some of Christoph Gans' hot fucking takes on the first game, I'm not sure he's the right guy to adapt that material unless they're really changing it around. And even then, it's like, why even say it's James Sunderland and have Maria in the concept arts? So, I don't know. And for the hot take I'm talking about, look up how Christoph Gans thinks of Harry Mason and how he's actually a woman because he cares for his daughter. Like, oh, it's a bit of a hot fucking take there, Christoph. But this could be fine. Again, too early to say. We have no casting, no information, nothing. Throw my hands in the fucking air. Who knows? So, Silent Hill Ascension. Speaking of throwing my hands in the air, I have no fucking clue what this game even is supposed to be. Is it like a live tabletop dungeon master thing? Apparently it can only be played once? I don't know, like, it's very strange sounding. So I'm not entirely confident how this is gonna work. And because this is actually one of those weird things where I'm a bit of a hypocrite, based on what I'm going to say about the final game announced, but this is so weird and so out there that I have zero investment in it at all. Like, you may as well have not even done this. I have only heard, just reading comments and everything like that, confusion and apprehension, because maybe it's just so far off away that they can't actually explain it or show it, but no one knows what the hell the thing even is, and the presentation did nothing to help alleviate those confused worries. I don't know. This is a massive question mark. Of all the things announced, it's the one that I have the least investment or interest in, just based on the fact that they did a pretty poor job explaining what the hell the thing even is. But moving on to the one that I'm actually into, that is Silent Hill F. This one could be cool. Being a hypocrite, as I mentioned a moment ago, we are finally doing what I've always wanted them to do, is try making a Silent Hill game. If you're going to have to do a Silent Hill, if you're going to have to bring this series back, that I think should have ended at 3, and I stand by that, but if you still need this brand to be around, go fucking crazy with it. Do something weird with it. Don't just rehash the greatest hits of Silent Hill again and again and again. And it looks like they might be finally doing that. Because we are in a Japanese setting with bright pink growths and flower imagery. Just from the, again, this is a no gameplay teaser trailer. It's written by a visual novel author who's apparently quite good, with art designs from someone named Kara, and I'll post some pictures, because he makes some gnarly-ass monster imagery. But I don't know, this one, it's so weird, because we have nothing to go off of outside of what I'm guessing is like a concept teaser trailer, but this is the one I'm interested in. I want to see where this goes, and against my better judgment, I'm kind of getting invested in it. But I digress. It's too early to say anything. if this game even comes out, because I want to stress one more thing. Do not forget Konami's track record. You saw multiple trailers for Silent Hills. You could have played Silent Hills technically with PT. That game got canceled and the demos removed forever. Go fuck yourself. So, never forget that these could all just be canceled at a moment's notice outside of maybe the Silent Hill 2 remake. All of these could just fall the fuck apart just at a snap of a finger. So, I'm not going to get my hopes up too much just based on prior history with this company. However, if I had to say, Townfall and F are the most interesting, with Silent Hill F in particular being the one that I am very much going to keep an eye on and pay close attention to. It could be trash, it could be the worst one, who knows, but it's the only one that's looking to try to do something really out there and new with the series, just based on the creative team and the trailer alone. So, I don't know. I want to see where it goes. That's my rough thoughts on the Silent Hill stream announcements. So, yeah, stay tuned for more, and I will certainly be interested in at least complaining about all these games as more details are revealed.